Hello and welcome back to Riverland Women, the podcast which celebrates the amazing achievements and inspiring stories of women from across South Australia's Riverland and Mallee. I'm Kerrie Lush from the podcast station. I'm a journalist, radio broadcaster and podcast producer and mentor. In this episode of Riverland Women, we meet Jayne Meneghetti from Loxton. When Jayne was pregnant with her second child, she discovered she'd contracted a little-known but very common virus called cytomegalovirus, or CMV. While it rarely causes symptoms for people with healthy immune systems, for pregnant women it can be passed on to the unborn baby. And that's what happened in Jayne's case. Her son Jock was born with a number of conditions which have dramatically affected his health and the family's day-to-day life. This is Jayne and Jock's story.
I was born in Loxton, grew up on the family farm out near Allawona with three brothers and my mum and dad. Went to school out there, then did a stint in Adelaide, went to school there, gap year, travelled, uni, met Scott, and then we moved back to Loxton to start a family.
So what did you do at uni?
I did a double degree in teaching.
Where do you teach now?
I currently teach at Berry Regional Secondary College.
And what areas?
I'm actually teaching in the Learning Centre, so I'm teaching the kids with intellectual disabilities. I've been in that role for 3 years. Before that, I was still at Berry Regional, but I was doing PE in science. So that's what I did my course at, degree.
I guess to start with, let's talk about you and Scott and who's in your family.
Yes, so we have Harry, who's 8, Jock, who's 7, and Ella, who is 4, soon to be 5. But yes, all amazing children, but it was Jock that I guess changed the course of our life. Jock was born with congenital CMV, and due to that virus kind of affecting him, he's got many disabilities and, has changed everything we do.
What is congenital CMV?
So congenital CMV stands for cytomegalovirus. The virus is a part of the herpes family. So it is pretty much harmless. There's no signs and symptoms. A lot of children get it. I think 80% of the population would have had it by the time they're in their 40s. The only time that it is dangerous is if you catch it when you're pregnant. And unfortunately, there's not much knowledge about it. And
Did you know you had it?
No, I didn't. So what happened was I went for just a routine checkup at 32 weeks, and they're like, oh, you're measuring a bit small, which I didn't think much of because I was measuring small with Harry. Went to a growth scan, and it was there that I got the call saying, you need to go to Women's and Children. There's something wrong with your child. So we packed the car and went down to Adelaide. They actually didn't think it was CMV to start with due to they must have tested my bloods and I'd already had it. So they're like, it's extremely unlikely that it's reactivated, and if it has, it wouldn't cause this much damage to say that. So they looked at Zika, they looked at all these other possibilities. We were there for a week, MRIs, all of that, and it took an amniocentesis on the Thursday, and that came back and confirmed that it was actually CMV.
What was the process from there? I guess you did a lot of Googling to find out what it was all about?
Yeah. I did a lot of Googling, and the first thing they say, though, is don't Google because everyone's different. And looking at the Googling, though, I actually was pretty optimistic. I was like, yep, this was all right. But it was actually the doctor before that. So we only got the diagnosis on the Thursday. But after the MRI, the doctor actually came in on the Tuesday and said that we're not sure yet what's caused it, but your son is been significantly damaged, I guess the word could be. And normally we would actually recommend a termination. But unfortunately, I was too far gone. I think I was about 34 weeks at this stage. And they're like, so we're just going to have to persevere with it. But the doc came in and I just remember going, yep, it's bad. It's extremely unlikely that he will ever walk, talk, because of the swelling on the brain. He had an enlarged liver, spleen, and they said they can't even guarantee that he will survive birth. So they just prepped us for that pretty much.
What did you do with that information?
It was hard. It was a very emotional week. I was actually a bit anxious. So when when he was in my belly, I guess my mind frame was like, I would have terminated. I was like, we've been told all these horrible things. Like, I was then angry that option got taken away from me as well. Like, you're telling me he's got no quality of life, yet I have to bring him into this world. So I was quite grumpy at that, and then hurt. And then they're even like, well, we can get you to sign a do not resuscitate if that's the angle that you want to go. And I remember thinking, yep, like I just want it out. I just kind of felt that it was an alien in my body. But instead they're like, sent me home with 16 tablets to take a day to try and just cancel the CMV, and an induction date. So I went home, and it was a horrendous 2 weeks. You know, you're packing a baby bag, and then I'll just cry because I'm like, am I bringing a baby home? What kind of baby am I bringing home? All those things. And yeah, and obviously, well, not obviously, but no one in my friendship group had gone through this, and I'd never, it was just all new and very hard, and I just didn't feel like I had too many people to talk to or that would understand.
There would have been a lot of why me, I guess, why us.
Yes. And the hard thing is, so when you're in a hospital for that week, I was finding out all these horrible things. Scott couldn't stay with me. So every night I'd cry myself to sleep, and it would be by ourselves, and he would come back every morning, and then I didn't realise what he was going through, and it was tough.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So then at 36 weeks, we went in, and I was like, right, let's just get this done. The night before, they prepped me in the morning. They broke my waters extremely quick, 50 minutes of active labour, and due to Jock's head size being that of 27-week gestation, he came out nice and easy. And thankfully, as soon as I put Jock on my chest, I was like, he's mine. I'm going to fight for him no matter what. I'd been warned that, you know, there's extreme risk of postnatal depression and all these things, especially with a disabled child. But thankfully, as soon as he was on my chest, I was like, he's my boy. And it was just instant love. And then I was so happy that we didn't actually terminate. So that was good.
What came next? How long were you in hospital?
Oh, so I got to hold Jock for about half an hour, and there was everyone. I reckon I had 20 staff members in the room for all different people. And then he got sent away, and then from there he spent about, I think it was 3 weeks in Skaboo 2, doing all these different tests. He was extremely jaundiced, so he was on all the lights. A midwife even came in just to check him out because she's never seen a jaundiced baby as much. And I was like, we're not a freak show, but okay. After the 3 weeks, we got discharged, but we stayed at Ronald McDonald for a week just to still attend appointments. And then we came home. So it was exactly a month. We spent in Adelaide, and then, got to come home.
And how was it when you came home?
It was really nice just to be in our own space. He actually was a pretty cruisy newborn. He latched, he did all the right things. Yeah, it was only as he got older and missed milestones that we actually noticed, you know, the difference. But at the start it was fine, just any newborn, just tiny.
And what about as far as like muscle strength and that sort of thing?
Yeah, at the start, like I guess newborns only can do so much. So it kind of put me in this sense of, I don't know what the doctors are on about. We've got this. Jock's going to beat the odds. And it was only about, when afterwards the diagnosis came. Within the first 3 months, we found out that he was deaf in his right ear, and he would need a hearing aid. They already knew cerebral palsy, his vision, so he wasn't following. So we've got the diagnosis of CVI, so cortical vision impairment. As that year went on, and it was like blow after blow after blow, and we're just like, the doctors were right. Like, this is actually going to be extremely difficult. You
must have a huge team of medical staff around you, and probably have from those very early days.
Yeah, it was actually having the diagnosis of CMV prior was it was beneficial in a way. So when we found out something was wrong, we actually found out he was a boy during that time, and the doctors were really nice. They're like, oh, does he have a name? I'm like, yep, Jock. So they started to really humanise Jock. And then when we were, I think Jock was like 2 days old, we actually met the medical team that moving forward would look after him, and we still see them today. So it was really nice. It's a big round table, intimidating, but lovely round table where we met his paediatrician, rehab, ophthalmology, all those who, we still see today, which is nice. Friendly faces now.
Have you ever tallied up how many specialists and...
I keep an app. I tally each year. So just last year we saw 168 separate appointments, over 30 days spent in Adelaide or different trips to Adelaide. I think that was just last year. But I didn't from the start. This is only the last 3 years that I actually thought to keep a bit of a tally to see just how busy we were. But the early days, I remember doing 2 trips to Adelaide a week. And then also Jock was on this really strong medication called valganciclovir. It was toxic, so you had to gown up every time you changed his nappy. And due to that, he had to have bloods every week. And it was really fine balance between getting the medication correct without his blood count dropping. So that was really hard. He was like a pincushion. It was a very busy first year.
What was that medicine for?
So that was to get rid of any CMV that was left in him. So there's studies that there's a few pros and cons to valganciclovir. They're not sure if it could harm the reproduction system later on. Obviously, with Jock's other severities, we know that's not going to be a issue, but other CMV children that might just suffer hearing loss, that's something their parents have to weigh up. So it's to try and stop further hearing loss. So CMV can take your hearing up to the ages of 7. So he was having regular hearing tests, from day one. His left ear has shown no change. So he's, perfect left ear, which is fine.
So the severity of CMV obviously can vary greatly. Is there any reason why that happens?
I guess my uneducated reason, I think, could be due with when the CMV was caught. So because of the severity of Jock, they believe that the CMV reactivated him in the first 12 weeks. And because I guess they consume it in the fluid, weed out, consume it, it just was going through him. Whereas someone who might catch CMV, say, at 36 weeks, they would probably just induce the child and might not have any issues at all. So, CMV's a whole range. I follow a few other CMV children and, there's different. There's one child who's a bit older than Jock. They have very similar rap sheets, whereas other children, could just have no hearing and other can still walk but might be non-verbal and, it affects the children in different ways.
So how do mothers know? Like, is it only if there's problems arise during pregnancy that they'll test?
That's the thing, they don't. So if you, I had no signs and symptoms. They only found out due to my belly not being that great. If you, prior to getting pregnant now, you can ask to be tested for CMV, because the theory is that if you've actually already had CMV before, it's unlikely that it would cause this much damage if you do catch it again. But it's more just a precaution and just to be aware, because I didn't know, but you can literally catch CMV from your child just sharing their piece of toast. And I was definitely guilty. Harry had a dummy. He fell on the ground. I'd just put it in my mouth, chuck it back in his, or I definitely ate the scraps off his plate. But they went back and they looked back in my bloods and they're like, no, you've actually had it before. So I didn't catch it from him, but so it reactivated. But it's just hard for other families because you really don't know what to look for.
Well, it sounds like hardly any symptoms in the...
No, not in a healthy person either. I've been on CMV groups and a lot of it is just, why didn't I know? Why had I never heard of it? I went to a doctor's surgery just the other day, something totally relevant, and I was looking at all their pamphlets and there's not one of CMV. We even provided the Loxton doctor's surgery at one stage with CMV pamphlets, but it's just not known. And I think some paediatricians are like, oh, why scare? Why put more, bad thoughts into parents' things? But I kind of think education is power, and I'd rather know. I was quite angry that I had never heard of it before. Not that it probably would have helped in our situation, but I do get messages every now and then saying thank you so much. We went on a houseboat and the kid had CMV and the mum didn't realise how, dangerous that could be to this and that. And so just trying to spread the word.
But how do, if you said another child had CMV, have they been to the doctors and been tested for that? Or, is it?
Yeah. So if your young child is got cold or flu-like symptoms, yeah, they can be tested and they've found out a CMV. Yeah. So it is a simple test, I think, or a blood test, kind of like a flu that you don't shake. So some people have those symptoms and the doctor goes, oh, yep, it's CMV. But yeah, otherwise there's no symptoms at all. They were close to a vaccine, but then COVID came and all the money and time went on a COVID vaccine. So I'm hoping that, some thought and that can go back to the CMV vaccine.
How common is it as far as, causing issues in pregnancy?
So CMV is actually the leading cause of disabilities in children, non-genetic disabilities in children. So, every hour one child is permanently disabled by CMV. Now, this state is from the National CMV Foundation, which is in the US, these statistics. But 90% of babies born with CMV will appear healthy at birth. And I know that some American states are doing really well at trying to get CMV on the initial newborn screening test. So, when you get they test for other things, they want CMV on there. But so it's the leading non-genetic cause of childhood hearing loss as well. And I think 1 in every 200 children are born with CMV. So it's very common, but not all children born with CMV have disabilities. So you could be born with CMV and just be asymptomatic, so have no symptoms at all and live a nice, healthy life.
What is day-to-day life, week-to-week life like for Jock and the rest of the family?
It has got a little bit simpler now that he's at school and I'm sending a lot of the therapists to school. But his average week he would have exercise physiology, speech therapy, OT, hydrotherapy in summer. He has Bowen and physiotherapy. So most of them are weekly, some are fortnightly. So that's our typical week to a fortnight. And then you throw in, he has to see the rehab clinic in Adelaide and the paediatrician, ophthalmology, hearing. And then most of our things now are to do with equipment, like seeing the speechy to organise a pod communication book or switches or have his wheelchair adjusted or get a script to get a new specialised pram or walker. And there is never a dull moment with Jock.
That's a lot of appointments to keep track of in a week.
Yes, it is. It's a lot. And then with that, I've chosen to be self-managed on the NDIS. So then I come with all the invoices and paying that and just liaising with everyone as well. So it's a busy job. That was a blessing that CMV actually was already pre-approved on the NDIS. So I felt like we really didn't have to jump through too many hoops at the start because it was there, got ticked off. And so we got on the NDIS actually quite quickly. But yes, we are fortunate that they fund a lot of the therapies.
I'd imagine there's still quite a lot of out-of-pocket expenses as well.
Yeah, well, every time you go to Adelaide and it's not for the women's and children's, it's fuel. So we try and align some of our Navita appointments up with a women's and children's so we can get the PATS forms done. But just other things. When Jock was 5, nappies were then obviously funded through NDIS, but before then we were paying for nappies. And that got a little bit sad when you're like, oh, my, Ella, who's a lot younger, has already progressed past Jock. So, that was a hard time. And just things like that always, milestones are the hardest thing.
Yeah, it must be tricky when you see other kids his age as well and what they're up to.
Yeah, like this year, I get emotional. Harry and Jock were meant to play footy together and they didn't because Jock was on the sidelines. Normally I'm fine. I now realise that when a comment or a milestone hurts me emotionally, it's more that I'm probably tired or burnt out. So I'm a lot better at it now. But just grief really appears at the most strangest times. And even looking back now, I think I worked out that I would have spent the first 2 years grieving the life we expected for Jock. I probably should have reached out for more support those first 2 years, but I guess I tried to be a hero, but also I didn't know who to talk to, really. So that was hard. And there are still hard moments, but I've learned to be a lot more honest with my friends and things like that.
You would have been in survival mode
Yeah.
as well in those early years, particularly with a toddler as well.
Yeah. No. Well, Harry was 18 months old when Jock was born. So the balance of not letting him feel left out and then running around with Jock and all the trips to Adelaide. But yeah, sitting in the weight room at Women's and Children's now, it's funny, but like you sit there and you can tell who's new. And, you know, I guess me with a now 7-year-old disabled child, you can see the ones that unfortunately were desensitized to their, like, it would just be me and Jock, and I'll look across and there'll be another mum with her son in a wheelchair. And then you see these other families that have brought the whole family for support, but unfortunately, like, it's not financially able for my husband to come with me every appointment. Not that I need him now, but yeah, I just looked across the other day and there's the mum and the dad, and it was probably, I don't know what appointment it was for them, be like, oh, how blessed. Like, whereas, yeah, across the hall in the wait for the ortho was all us seasoned vets, I guess. Yeah.
So day to day, what does a general day look like for you as a family and for Jock?
Depending if I work or not. So I work 3 days a week. So the days that I don't work, I normally will get up, take the kids to school, do something for myself. I try and exercise. And then if it's a Monday, I then pick up Jock and take him to an appointment and then drop him back and then just try and get all the housework on top of the week. And the same with Wednesday. So I kind of use Monday and Wednesday to hang out with my youngest daughter, but she'll be in school next year. And then Jock normally has appointments on those 2 days as well. And then they're also the days that if he needs to go to Adelaide, I try and line him up on my off work days as such. And then the other 3 days, we're very fortunate that we have a girl, Estella. She comes to the house and she helps get my children organised so I can get to work on time. And then she picks them up. So on the days that I work, the therapists go to Jock school.
So what does he need, say, you know, for feeding and toileting and
yes,
sleeping, you know, what's the place there?
Jock has his own room. We've moved him into our room, and we're currently building our new room, so I can't complain. But yeah, Jock's got an electronic bed, so we'll start the morning that I will get him out the bed and I'll lay him on the ground with the wiggles on. He loves the wiggles, to really stretch out his legs. So he currently has Botox every 6 months to help stretch out his muscles. He unfortunately isn't toilet trained, so we have to change his nappy and wipe him all down. And then I lift him up to a specialised chair that holds him all in, and he is peg fed. So he can have some taste through mouth just for the experience, but due to him dropping weight after the first year, they've put a peg, so he gets all his nutrition through his button. So we'll set him up at his table with that. I'll push some food through and then obviously get the other kids ready or get myself ready. And then we push that food through and then we flush it. And then once again, it's dressing him. If he hasn't had his Botox, dressing him can be quite time consuming because his arms snap shut. So you really got to stretch him out. But unfortunately, he can't even sit up unattended really. So we have to help maneuver with everything. Brushing his teeth, hair, sunscreen, shoes. Yeah. The lot, which it gets you down every now and then. Like at this age, I thought I should be smug looking at people with newborns, but I'm still very much doing everything for Jock. But we've got the added, he's now, thinking there's puberty and stuff. And so now we put some deodorant on as him as well. And just moving forward, how we can protect his privacy. But it's just, he still needs his nappy changed, unfortunately.
What sort of equipment do you need for him? I imagine, like up until now, it's probably been, you know, small enough to be able to manoeuvre and do all these things for him. But as you said, as he gets bigger,
it's a lot. So he's a bit over 20 kilos now. So just manoeuvring him in general is getting quite challenging. At school, they need 2 people to lift, part of their policy. But yeah, so Jock has a specialised chair that he sits in for breakfast, lunch, all those things. He has his own wheelchair now. He has a walker, a standing frame, another seat. He has a seat that can go in the shower. We have a ceiling hoist in our shed ready to go up to help position him from his bed to the wheelchair to the shower. He has a specialised pram, and I think that could be it. And we were very fortunate enough that the NDIS actually funded for our car to be modified so that we can just wheel Jock's wheelchair straight in, and that has saved a lot of
Not
back
lifting
pain.
him into a seat or
Yeah, so we were lifting him in and out of the car. Then we're also lifting the wheelchair, which is over 18 kilos, into the back of the vehicle. And just my legs were covered in bruises because it would just hit me or this or that. And we're very grateful that my parents live just down the road and help us with a lot. But it was getting too hard for my mum to actually manoeuvre him by herself. Whereas now with the wheelchair and the car, Harry, my eldest, he actually can load him in and out. Just knows what to do, presses the buttons, wheels him in, wheels him out. So that car has, been a game changer.
Up until now, everything's sort of, booster seats and all of that are up to 8 years old, really. Prams, you could probably still get a 20 kilo just into a pram, but now it's that turning point.
Yeah, well, I had a great pram that he still fitted in, but his core strength's not even that strong. So he would actually just fall to the side, and then we'd worried about him suffocating against just the edge of the pram. So that's why we had to get one with more clips and that to hold him exactly where we need him to be, so we didn't have to stress about him suffocating in there.
How has he adjusted to school?
He is loving it. School has been amazing. We've been extremely lucky that Margot, she came to us a few years ago as a private carer. When COVID was around, we were advised to take our children out of childcare, or Jock. And she, answered our ad, and she has followed him then to kindy and onto school as his one-on-one support. And they have such a lovely friendship. But he loves school. All the students are really good at using his pod communication book with him, and it's great. Whenever Jock's a bit late because of an appointment or something, I'll wheel him in, and all the class like, Jock's here, and they run up, and it's beautiful to see all the friends he's made. And obviously the kids that hang around him, when they see him in the community, they don't give him weird looks. They just come up to him and say, "Oh, hey, Jock." And we chose actually to go to a private small school instead of the special school, and I'm very happy with our decision. It really suited us, and also I felt it was important just for me, for the time being, that all my children could attend the same school, knowing that high school will unfortunately be different. But I think the students are better off for having Jock in the class as well.
Mentioned about just then, getting strange looks. Does that happen when you're out and about with Jock? Yeah,
it does. Luckily, we're in a small town where everyone actually knows him, or if the kids don't, the parents do. So they're amazing. They're like, "Oh, go up and say hi to Jock," or "You remember Jock from kindy? Go on, go say hello." And it's nice. We've kind of, in the Riverland and like the fundraisers people have done, I feel that a lot of people do know who Jock is. And so there's not as many looks, but obviously when we do go to a different town and they don't know Jock, I guess it's just curiosity. I don't get offended by it or anything. And I actually encourage, if a child is looking at Jock, come up, say hello. I'm more than happy to explain what's happened. I took him to school, like my school, to do a speech. And they're like, "Oh, what happened?" And I just kind of say, "Oh, when he was in my belly, a virus attacked his brain. And unfortunately, he can't do the things that you can do." And they respond pretty well to that. And so definitely come up and ask questions if your child is interested.
You've just been on a big holiday.
Yes.
How did that go?
It was good. Yeah, we went to the Northern Territory for 4 weeks with 3 other families, and it was really nice to go. Challenging, obviously, the accessibility. Before we went, I actually bought this carrier that could hold Jock's weight. And shout out to Scott, who did all the carrying. We were very ambitious. We were doing hiking into gorges and things like that other people were like, "No, we're not even doing that, and we're fit and healthy." We knew what we're getting ourselves into because we'd actually been 4 years earlier when Jock was an easy 9 kilos to carry. But even then, I had Ella strapped to me because she was 8 months old, and people were like, "You're crazy. What are you doing?" But no, it was really fun. And we're hoping to do the Gibb River next year with a group of friends.
How important is it to try and still do those things, those family holidays, even if they are a bit tricky at the time?
Extremely important, especially because we just know it's going to get harder the bigger he gets. Sometimes we have our negative moments, but luckily when Scott's a bit down about it, I then perk up, say, we'll be fine. Or when I'm down, he'll be like, "Oh, we'll be right." So that's why we want to do, Gibb River, was it next year? No, the year after, sorry, we're aiming for, just to do it because there will come a time where we won't be able to lift Jock as easy. And we do know it will be harder to do that.
You said about some surgery coming up. What's ahead for Jock?
Yes, so Jock is having pretty much major hip surgery. What they're doing is they're going to cut into his femurs to reshape it so that they lock the hip into place kind of thing. And then they're going to reshape the pelvic girdle on one side and then cut into a bit of a muscle. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty confronting. And it's really hard because Jock, I guess he's non-speaking and we don't know how much he can comprehend that we say. We're trying to tell him about this surgery with his pod booklet and things, but we're just not sure how much he'll actually understand. And then going through it, obviously all the doctors are like, oh, how will we know if he's in pain? But realistically, he'll just cry.
Is this surgery because of his lack of mobility? Is that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they have explained it to me in more depth. But yeah, due to his cerebral palsy that he has, and his lack of mobility. So I guess as typical people, we really take for granted, when we crawl, it actually puts things in motion. We crawl, we walk, we stand, and that really helps our body be, how it should be. But because Jock can't do all those things, like he can't even sit, then that's when the muscles don't stretch the right thing, the joints don't go in the right place and things like that. So unfortunately this won't be his only surgery. As he grows, it's extremely likely that he'll have to get this hip surgery done again later on in life. So 2 years ago he had his right adductor sliced and lengthened, and that was a 6-week brace as well. And I saw the surgeon after the 6 weeks and she's like, I'd love to say I'm not going to see you again, but I'm probably going to see you again in the next few years. And yep, like clockwork, he went for his 6-monthly hip x-ray, and then 2 weeks later rehab rang and said, we're going to have to meet with ortho, we're sorry. And yeah, that was upsetting, but we're here now.
We've talked a lot about the things Jock has to deal with and his disabilities, but what about Jock as a kid, as a person?
He's actually a really chilled boy. He has the most infectious giggle. He always laughs at the most inappropriate times, which makes you laugh even harder. So whenever Harry and Ella are getting told off, Jock just laughs. I can't take him to funerals. He's gone to 3 funerals now and I've had to remove him because he just laughs. When everyone's quiet, he will just cack himself up. Apparently from Margot and the school, it is a Catholic school, so they go into the church every now and then. And Jock, I've often pulled up ready for an appointment and Jock might be sitting outside because he's laughed too much. But yeah, so he's got a good sense of humour, really happy, and just likes being around people and, yeah, loves the wiggles.
I guess a lot of the time, is it just day by day and, well, with the added appointments in there as well?
Yeah, day by day. At the start, I just don't really want to look too far ahead because it can get quite emotional and depressing. So we just literally take it day by day. Normally something new gets thrown our way. So I just thought, it's better to just hit it when it comes to it and not to overthink too many things. That has bit me in the bum every now and then when it comes to like NDIS equipment and things like that. So a few years ago, when I was new to it all, I was like, we'll just get it when we're ready, not knowing the process can actually be 6 months. So now I'm better at that. So I do think, what do I need next year?
What would you like people to know about CMV and what are you doing to try and promote awareness of it?
I used to be a lot better at it. A few years ago, we did beanies. The Loxton Footy Club did its charity round about CMV, which was really good. Riverland Medical Health do in June, it's CMV Awareness Month, and they put up a display and everything. I've gone a bit quiet the last few years because it's more just survival mode of getting Jock through. But just follow the CMV pages. If I post anything about CMV and you see it on socials, just share it. Start the conversation. It'd be really good to see every doctor's practice have CMV brochures, which I probably could put on my to-do list to get some and restock up the Riverland. But yeah, just have that conversation about it. I think the more people that know, the better. And do not be afraid to go to your GP prior to falling pregnant and getting tested for CMV as well. I know some friends since Jock they have, and a lot assume because they've worked in childcare they probably had it, but no. They're like, oh, no, we don't. Just keeping it in the back of your mind. Not to worry, but just to keep it there, just in case.
Jayne, thank you so much for having a chat to me and telling me about your story and Jock's story.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much for having me.
That was Jayne Meneghetti from Loxton. Thanks for listening to Riverland Women. I'd love it if you could share the episode to help more people find the podcast. You can also follow Riverland Women and my business, The Podcast Station, on Facebook or Instagram, or check out my website at thepodcaststation.com.au.